Welcome everybody to the first official episode here on YouTube of a Playmakers View. As I've been, hyping it up, I'm super excited for this. First off, I do want to apologize in advance. With everything going on with the pandemic, I want to keep everybody safe. And my guest today, Spencer Goldberg, is going to be seen via Zoom. This is going to be, the first few episodes may be this way just because, we got to practice social distancing and keep everybody safe. I know it's cliche and all, but it is a truth. And I hope everyone's doing well out there. But more about this episode. So me and Spencer, if you guys don't know Spencer yet, he was the first ever guest on a Playmakers View when I did the audio version of things. We talked a little bit about college football. And, he's a great sports mind. He goes to the University of Lindenwood, or Lindenwood University, I should say. And he does a lot of broadcasting over there. So he has a lot of experience. Him and I grew up together. We love talking sports. We're going to break down the best moments, best players of the decade. This doesn't mean that they're the all-time top players of the decade. It's going to be more of an opinion piece. We're going to choose our top 5 players who, have a great impact on the past decade, who have, really stepped up and, shown their skills. And then we're going to do a little bit of trivia to break things up and kind of mix it all up. And then finally, we will go over our top 3 moments of the decade. So a certain play, a certain season, and just kind of talk sports and the decade. Obviously, I picked the decade because we have a little bit more knowledge being older now. I think I was going to do the century or the 21st century, but I think the decade's going to help us better engage and think about players that we really enjoy and moments that we really enjoy. With that being said, I want you guys feel free to comment and give your own opinions. Chip in on this debate with our favorite players and moments because I love to hear what you guys think. And there's so many great players and moments in the past 10 years that we've seen. So again, please feel free to reach out. You can hit up Spencer, hit up me, or just, comment below. We'll love to hear your thoughts. But with that being said, we can start things off and get things rolling. I want to introduce Spencer and we'll get things going. Here we go. All right, so today, like I said, I have Spencer Goldberg joining me again. Thank you, Spencer, for joining the show. Happy to have you on here again.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we're going to start off with our top players. You can just give your list and, why you enjoy that player or why you have liked that player. We can just kind of talk about it. So go ahead and start.
Yep. So starting out at number 5, I got wide receiver. Played at Alabama in college. Roll Tide. I don't know. I'm a big
Yes, sir.
fan. You know that.
Yep.
And he currently plays for the Atlanta Falcons, and that's wide receiver Julio Jones. So with Julio, whenever I see him on the field, he's always electric. Started the decade. He was a captain at Alabama. He won their first national championship for them in 17 years in 2010. He was drafted by the Falcons 6th overall in 2011 and really hasn't even slowed down from there. He was a 7-time Pro Bowler and 2-time All-Pro. He's led the league in receiving twice while having only 1 year throughout his entire career without getting over 900 yards receiving, which is outstanding for me and just anyone when you think about it. Uh, they were really close. Sadly, they blew the 28-3 lead against New England. He almost captured that Super Bowl, but I think if they get the right pieces around him in Atlanta, he could win a Super Bowl, and who knows, maybe even an MVP one day.
Yeah, how many years do you think he has left? He's been how long has he been in the league for? You said 7 or so.
He got drafted in 2011, so what is that? 9.
Yeah, it's been a while. He's a
Yep.
veteran for sure.
Yep.
Okay, so I see that you have Drew Brees on your list next.
Yep.
Obviously, a franchise quarterback there, but what are some of your reasons for choosing him?
So with Drew, is the old debate. He just last season he passed. I want to say it was Manning for all-time touchdown passes, and that's just the beginning of it. He's the career leader in passing yards as well. I mean, when you think about it in the clutch, I know the Saints, they've had some trouble in the playoffs. I'm not going to say, it was them personally, but, the rest did get them a couple times. And, you know, but there's nothing you can really do there. But Breeze, I mean, personally, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks, probably next to Mahomes. Mahomes, he still has a big career ahead of him. But with Breeze, he's defined himself, won a Super Bowl against the Colts back in his younger days with the Saints. But I mean, no matter what you put with him, new running backs, new wide receivers, Drew Brees will always be there. And the Saints will always be a contender with him at their quarterback helm.
Yeah, he's someone I see as being like he's almost like a coach out there. I feel like he always knows what he's doing. You
Oh, yeah.
mentioned,
Oh, yeah.
whenever he has a new player, he always adjusts to it. I don't think he gets enough credit. Honestly, he's been a great quarterback
Not
for
at all. I
many
mean,
years.
people always say that Brady's better than him, but let's be honest, the only thing Brady has more is Super Bowls. When you look at every other number wise, Breeze is above him on that category.
Yeah, he also has a lot. Tom Brady has had a lot more targets to throw to, also, in my
Oh,
opinion.
yeah.
So that's a big reason. Okay, I know you're a big soccer fan, so we'll move on to your next one. I don't know much about soccer, so
Yeah.
Big Messi. I mean, that's a household name. Everyone hears his name. So
Yeah. I got at number 3, Lionel Messi from Argentina, plays club at FC Barcelona. Uh, so Messi, he's won 5 in this decade, 5 of his 6 awards, which is the award for soccer players who are the best in the world for that season. 6 Golden Boot awards as the leading scorer of the top division in all 5 major European leagues, which, I mean, is amazing for that, right?
yeah,
The only thing that really he hasn't done for Argentina is won that World Cup. They did make it one time with him. I believe it was against Germany, uh, the last 2 World Cups. Not this one, but the one before that. And I mean, when he's out there, he's one of the, if not the most electrifying soccer player in the world. I mean, when he has the ball at his feet, really no one that can stop him.
hmm yeah. No, I agree, and I think you said he's such a big impact. I see kids wearing his jersey all the time. I think that's huge.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I'm not that big of a soccer fan or know too much about it, but I know Messi's name, and I know that he
Yep.
has such a big impact. All right, so I also had this guy on my list, Mike Trout. Um,
Yep.
so I mean, it's not there's so much you could say about Mike Trout, but let's hear
Yep.
what your thoughts on him.
So I got number 2, Mike Trout, the Los Angeles Angels outfielder. I mean, since Trout debuted in 2011 at 19 years of age, he's just been astronomically better than almost every single player in all of the major league baseball.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
one thing, sorry to interrupt you, but one thing I
yeah,
wanted to mention is I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but this dude has not won a World Series, and he's still the best, in my opinion, one of the best players of baseball to ever play. And it's sad because of all his skill, but
yeah. When you think about it, the first player that comes to mind when you 5-tool player is Mike Trout.
yeah, no
And
doubt.
even I've heard analysts like like Jeff Passan, Buster Only, those guys, they've even said he might be the first 6-tool player. Now we don't know what that even entails, but that's just how amazing this man is.
Yeah. And I remember like when we were younger, they talked about like Albert being that way. It's crazy that
Yeah.
Albert's his teammate now, but I mean, I think Mike Trout's even better than Albert Pujols
I
was.
mean, when you look at numbers wise and awards, I mean,
Yeah.
Trout, he's 8-time All-Star, 3-time MVP. I believe Albert is a 3-time MVP in his
Mhm.
own right, but I mean, Trout still has a whole long career left. I
Yeah.
mean, he's he made his debut in 2011 and's been in the league for 9 years, but I honestly could see him playing for, I mean, who knows, maybe even 20 years.
Yeah.
That's just how good he is.
For sure. I mean, I can even see him playing different sports too. Like he's just that much of an athletic guy. I mean, I can see him
Yeah.
playing linebacker in football or some
Yeah,
other
I know
sport.
he's a
So
big Eagles guy, being from Philly. So
you never know, man. Michael
yeah,
Jordan. All right, let's get to your last one, LeBron James, of
yeah.
course.
So I got number one, LeBron James. He throughout this decade he played with the Heat, Cavs, and then recently just went to the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, where to start with LeBron? I mean, there's just so much to say about the guy, but one thing that really sticks out to me with LeBron, the man knows how to win no matter who's on his team around him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at teams when he started out in Cleveland, they didn't go to an NBA Finals, but they were always contenders in the playoffs in his first stint with Cleveland. Then he went to Miami, made the big three with D Wade and Chris Bosh, and he had different role players around him. I mean, that's where he won his first championships. And I mean, he I'm speechless when it comes to
Yeah.
describing the guy because he's just so good in his own right. And I know that people will say, you're a LeBron or a Jordan, but why compare and debate about them when you can just appreciate how good both guys are?
Right. Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you think? How long is his contract with the Lakers, and what do you think his impact? Do you think they're going to get a championship there? And what were your thoughts on that move to LA?
So with his move to LA, I know everyone was saying that he did that in his own right, for money reasons, and he wanted to be in a big city, big market like LA is. Uh, Personally, him teaming up with Anthony Davis, I do believe that if this season, I mean, who knows if this season will be completed, but I tell you what, they are primed to win a championship. If not this season, I truly believe that they'll win one next season.
No doubt, and I think that's what you're talking about. Is always finds players to win championships with. There's been so much debate about him moving places, but I think I'm big on this. Is players getting too much. I don't know. The media always knocks them down, and they're human just like us. So I
Yeah.
think you got to do what you got to do, and you got to win championships. And at the end of the day, it's just a game. So all right. With that being said, I'm gonna move down to my list. This list isn't. It's gonna be more of an opinion kind of thing because I uh, I like these guys personally, not just for their success, but just for things that they've done. So for one, Yadier Molina. Yadier Molina is, in my opinion, one of the franchise players of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
Um, Career stats, I mean, he has 282 average, which isn't outstanding, but every year he hits 250 to 300, and he's a clutch guy. I think people don't realize, if you don't watch the Cardinals, you don't see the little things that he does. The little, when he throws someone out or when he hits a bloop hit. He doesn't hit too many home runs, but he hits those bloop hits, and those little things add up. And I just think that the Cardinals wouldn't really be where they were without Yadier Molina, and that shows a lot for me. And that's important because being a Cardinals fan, and just it shows appreciation for one player. I'm hoping that he stays here. I know we're all going to be heartbroken. We're going to talk a little bit more, hopefully, in another episode about the return of him and Pujols, possibly. But I mean, he's just all around a great team player, in my opinion. So
I tell you what, if without Yachty, you think of it in 2006. I mean, he was a young player back then, but without him being the starting catcher that he was, and I know he hit the clutch go-ahead home run against the Mets in the NLCS,
mhm.
and being back there with all those veteran pitchers. Without him, I don't think the Cardinals would have won the World Series in 11 or '06 and 11.
Yeah, I think just him being a catcher, you always say a catcher's a quarterback. I honestly think he's like a coach because
Oh, yeah.
the man is so smart, and it just amazes me what he can do on the field and work with his pitchers, especially the young guys. I think of Jack Flaherty. He's brought him into the league, and Jack Flaherty's an elite pitcher now, and I think Yachty deserves some of that credit. So
Oh, yeah.
the next guy, obviously, I added Mike Trout, like you said, a five-tool guy. And I wanted to touch a little bit more on them not winning World Series because I think of all these players who get that World Series title and they're not to the caliber of what Mike Trout has done. You look at what he's done to train his body coming into the league at age 19, and I just hope someday that he gets the chance to win a World Series because he's done so much for the game and developed a different style of play, in my opinion. He hustles, he plays hard, so I'd like for you to touch on that, on his style of play. What do you think that's done for the game of baseball?
I mean, not only has it influenced other players around who are actively playing in, the minors or even the major leagues for that matter, but I think it's influenced, younger kids, I mean, kids our age and even younger to, really go out there and just, if like Mike Trout has done throughout his entire career, if you put in the hard work, lift, uh, I mean, run, just do anything possible to improve yourself.
Mhm.
You will be elite one day, no matter what you do in your life. And it doesn't even have to be for baseball for that matter. It's
Yeah.
influenced people for all different sports. I mean, Mike Trout is one of the strongest men in all of professional sports.
No doubt. Yeah, he just works hard. That's simply what it is. All right. My next guy is Pat Mahomes. I've become a Chiefs fan. I know I've hopped on that wagon ever since the Rams left. But watching him, you watch his highlights, career stats, nearly 10,000 yards, almost there, and only 18 interceptions with 76 touchdowns. Incredible. I mean, he brings swagger to the game, kind of like Mike Trout. With his no look passes, and I think that's great for the game. I think that people try to be like him, and I'm happy that he got that title and bring it back to the Chiefs. But I think almost like Yadier Molina, he knows how to play the game the right way, and he's very intelligent with what he does. Being a young guy, I think the factor he played baseball as well. I think that really helped him.
His dad was a professional pitcher in the majors.
Yeah, was Mahomes drafted by the A's or was that
That was
Kyler?
Kyler Murray.
So okay, well, anyways, I mean, I just think that impacted him tremendously, and he's gonna be in the league for who knows how long, and he's gonna be a Hall of Famer one day.
I
He's
mean,
gonna be definitely in the ranks of guys like Drew Brees and those guys.
too. I saw a video a couple weeks ago on Mahomes, and I want to say, Team USA, I want to say it was 14U, and Mahomes was the starting pitcher for Team USA. They were playing Japan in one of those, I guess, invitationals or whatever.
Hmm.
And he was an outstanding pitcher. And I mean, that shows you, I mean, we've seen what his arm can do with a football, but imagine him pitching in the majors. I mean, you could see another one of those guys being a crossover athlete.
Yeah,
Like,
incredible athlete.
I don't know if he'll do it one day because he is so successful right now in the start of his career in the NFL, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean that's another debate is the whole thing what to choose baseball or football. That seems to be one of the biggest, I guess, co sports that people are both playing. But we can get it more to that. But I want to do my fourth athlete, LeBron James, like you mentioned, outstanding athlete. The way he trains his body is something that I really like to emphasize on because he's getting older, but it doesn't seem that way, and he's always seems like he's always ahead of that competition. I don't follow basketball too much, but whenever I do, it is LeBron James in the headlines, doing something spectacular. And another thing I wanted to add, and another reason I have a lot of these players is how they give back to the community. I think that LeBron James being the athlete that he is, he's really used that to impact the community, and I think that's awesome. But I think he's got a few more years left in him, and I'd like to see him win another championship just to cap it off. So that'd be awesome.
I could
Um,
see him definitely waiting until his oldest son gets in the league,
yeah,
which would be 2023. So
that's another thing. I was talking with one of my friends the other day about this, and that's 3 years. I think he could make it. It'd be incredible to see. Do you think that they would be on the same team if that happened, or?
I don't know about same team. I'll tell you what though, whenever Bronny does get drafted in the league, he'll be a lottery pick. I
Mhm.
mean, at a freshman this year at Sierra Canyon, he was good. But I mean, he was playing with the most elite high school basketball players in the country.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I mean, when he has 4 more years to grow, not only height wise, but strength, and I mean, LeBron being his father, I mean, his opportunities are endless.
For
So,
sure. All right, my last athlete. I know if you guys know me, you're gonna know who this is, but Marcus Stroman. Okay, Marcus Stroman is hasn't. People will say he hasn't had the best career, but I want to note one thing in specific. He tore his ACL, and that's normally a 9-month recovery. This man made it back in 6 months. And not only that, he pitched in a playoff game and had an outstanding performance. If that doesn't show you how much of an athlete he is, I don't know what I can do to convince you. Just the whole HDMH thing, I have, I have that tattoo. I'm inspired by him, but he's just done so much for the game. Like I said, he hasn't been to that top tier performance yet, but he's still young, and I think he's going to get to that spot. Um, I know I have my own opinion on this. I like to hear your thoughts on him, but I think he just doesn't get enough attention, and rather he gets too much negative stuff. But it's incredible how he can manage that and still perform at such a high level.
yeah. I mean, one thing that mind, just right off the top of my head, was Stroman. When he pitched that championship game in the started the championship game in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
When was that? I think 2 years ago,
2016, I think it was.
2016.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was electric. I mean, he pitches with a different type of swagger,
Yeah.
feel that not many guys do anymore. And don't in he's great in his right, and join the Mets. I mean, with Syndergaard and DeGrom, two great pitchers in their own right. I think the Mets could win a World Series very soon.
Yeah, and I just think him being around those guys will really help him. He loves to learn. Well, like
Yeah.
I said, that this podcast is learn to grow. And that's what he does all the time, and he's always trying to get better, outworking competition. And like I said, I just wish he would get more recognition because people don't understand how difficult it is to be at the level that he's at and everything that he's been through. I think he's one of the top athletes of the decade, and I mean, like I said, that's my own opinion, but for sure. All right, so let's take a little trivia break. I told you I wasn't going to give you these questions just because I wanted to, keep it confidential. But we're going to call this a Playmakers Trivia. First question of the day: who has won the most MVP awards in the MLB? And if you know who it is, try to guess how many.
Ah, MLB. What was it? I want to say, hmm, is it Bonds?
It is Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds has won 7 MVP awards. Now, this shocked me. I didn't know too much about Barry Bonds, and there's a whole talk about, his use of steroids and all that. But overall, I think he was someone who really impacted the game. But yeah, 7 MVPs. That's pretty incredible. Had one heck of a career there. Which next question is which sport, professional sport, came first, the NFL or the NBA, or I guess you can say football or basketball professionally.
I believe it was basketball.
According to my statistics, it is football, and football began in 1920, and the NBA started in, I believe it was 1940s, 1946, if my calculations are correct. But yeah, so been a long time that professional sports have been around. Third question. I know us being broadcasters, you may or may not know this. 3 options for you. Where did Dick Vitale attend college? Was it Duke University, Seton Hall, or Rowan University?
Well, let's see. I know he did not go to Duke.
Correct.
Let's
Yeah.
see here. Seton Hall. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know where Rowan University is, so I'll go Seton Hall.
It is Seton Hall. I just kind of added Rowan. I have no idea anything about Rowan University, but I just kind of added it. So, all right, good there. Next one, you should probably know this one. Who came in the league first? Who made their debut in the MLB first? Mike Trout or Bryce Harper?
I'm pretty sure it was Harper.
It was actually Mike Trout. Mike Trout was July 8th of 11, and Harper didn't debut until 2012. So he's a little bit more of a rookie there. Last question. I found this on the internet after Googling a bunch of trivia. Dating back, obviously you're a huge soccer guy. Dating back to 1950 in the FIFA World Cup, there was an Indian national team that was forced to withdraw from that cup, I guess, playoffs or tournament. Here's three options for you. Was it because they didn't have enough players, because they didn't have a coach, or because they didn't wear shoes when playing?
I'm going to go. I feel like shoes would be the right answer.
That is correct. They didn't wear shoes, so they were withdrawn from the competition because it wasn't seen correct. But yeah, so pretty interesting there. I think you did pretty well on that on the first version of a Playmakers View or a Playmakers Trivia. So good job there. We're going to transition over to our favorite moments. I'll start off here in the past decade. So starting from 2010 over to today. My first, obviously, this is going to sound really cheesy being a Cardinals fan, but 2011 World Series, David Freese home run. Just an incredible game. Joe Buck's call, just the whole game itself has been or was incredible for the city and for the sport. I think a lot of people around baseball, when they think of the Cardinals, they think of that game. So it's pretty incredible. And one thing that goes under the radar is I believe that was Tony La Russa's last season. So it's kind of a goodbye call to him that they won the World Series that year, which I think is pretty incredible because me being a Cardinals fan, I really loved La Russa, and that was a great way to cap off his career as a Cardinals manager. So
I believe it was Albert's last year too.
Yeah, I think you're correct about that as well because he was signed that contract in 2012. So, all right, let's hear your first favorite moment of the decade.
So my first one I got from the 2013 NBA Finals, Heat versus Spurs, Game 6. I got Ray Allen hitting the three-pointer to keep the Heat alive. I remember exactly when I was watching this game. I had just moved into my new house. We had no furniture. The TV just sitting on the ground. I was laying down watching it, and the Heat were down. They were trailing throughout the entire game pretty much. And I mean, even like in the last couple minutes, there were Heat fans leaving the arena because they thought the Spurs hadn't won, and that the Spurs were 2 and if the Spurs would have won that game, they would have won the title. So, I mean, the infamous call, rebound Bosh, back out to Allen, his three-pointer, bang, tie game, 5 seconds remaining. I have it memorized, and, I mean, it's just a great moment. It's one that I'll remember forever. And
I think
don't get me wrong, LeBron, D-Wade, Chris Bosh, all great players, but without Ray Allen, the Heat never would have won that title.
I was just about to add that he was such a good shooter. He goes under the radar, and I mean Ray Allen was a great basketball player. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, my next one again. It's a St. Louis thing. I do apologize, but the 2019 last year Stanley Cup championship, as a whole, I guess you could say that playoff run was incredible. Beat all the odds. Finally capped off. After being in last place, just outstanding. But I remember being in my basement watching it. Just an incredible moment. They were underdogs, I guess, the whole season. You could say that. And it's just something that you would see in a movie with them being in last place. I think that, you and I went to the parade and just the way that I think that really helped our city. It's had so much of an impact, and I kind of miss it. I miss hockey because of that. Because I wanted to see them do repeat, a championship because they had a good chance Who knows if it'll resume? Hopefully it will soon.
Right.
But I mean, it is just incredible. But let's hear your second one.
Second one, I got the 2008 College Football Playoff National Championship, Alabama versus Georgia. I got Tua Tagovailoa comes in, lead to the comeback. I mean, at the first half, I mean, Jalen Hurts, who now is a NFL quarterback, as well as Tua. Uh, we don't know where Jalen will be playing, but Jalen just wasn't having the best game. Uh, Saban made the tough decision. I mean, his starting quarterback the entire season to bench him and bring in this true freshman from Hawaii, Tua Tagovailoa. And Tua's first drive threw an interception, which, I mean, first game jitters. I mean, you've waited your entire life to play in moments like this. And he threw an interception, and he, brushed it off, let that behind him, then came back, his next 4 consecutive drives led Alabama to points, and then currently led them into overtime, where on the last play of the game, threw a bomb touchdown pass to Devonta Smith to lead Alabama to a walk-off national title. And it was just great. I mean, seeing the guy, I mean, nowadays, you don't see moments like that, I mean, true freshmen, there are 5 stars all around the country. They come in, start, take it at the beginning of the season. But he was on the bench the entire season. The last 2 quarters of the season comes in absolutely he had to warm up instantly. Of course, Saban told him he was going to come in at halftime, but that pressure after throwing the interception to come in and do what he did to lead him to a national championship was just amazing.
Incredible, and just the decision that Saban made. I just think like what was going on in his head to choose him. Was he the backup officially, or was he like a
He
third
was the
string?
backup.
Okay, that makes more sense, I guess. But
Yeah.
the fact
But
that
I
he didn't
mean, the
play,
instincts to bench your starting quarterback
yeah,
for who's been there for you and led you to this moment the entire season.
exactly, yeah,
Uh,
incredible.
Crazy.
All right, my last one is Matt Holliday's home run, which was his last at bat as a Cardinal. This one sticks out to me because being a St. Louisan, um, every time that a player leaves or comes back, you can see the impact that they had on the city. Um, I've never seen, I mean, I have seen a grown man cry, but Matt Holliday did have some tears, and it just brings some more joy and excitement to that moment. Who would have thought that he would have, came in here? I didn't know too much about Matt Holliday when he came, but I knew he was, a great athlete. He did so much for the city, and I think he had some great times over in Colorado too, and people love him over there. But in St. Louis, we love him as well, and that was just an outstanding moment for the city again. Just another one of those sports moments that we all love to relook and rewatch and cherish because it was an awesome moment. So
With my last one, I have, like you had earlier, the 2019
of course,
Stanley Cup final win for the Blues, and just the whole turnaround for the entire season. I mean, when you think about it, going from worst to first at the beginning of January, and it's one series that you think about, and like without that, I mean, just the team itself to come around. I mean, we had guys, the Blues had guys fighting at practice
yeah.
when they were in last place.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to come full circle and win that Stanley Cup, the first in franchise history, in Game 7 in Boston, it was a roller coaster of a season. Me and you both know that. And everyone who is a Blues fan knows that, for that matter.
Yeah, it was hard to stick around like when they were in last place. Just another one of those
Yeah,
years for the Blues that they were gonna give it away. But
yeah,
I mean, here we are. And another thing I like to see was obviously he's gone now, but we all love Pat Maroon, his
yeah.
historical game winning shot, and there was just so many small moments that just added up to this great big championship. And I think I remember seeing all these news reports of I think there was a fight in that Dallas game, like one of the first games, and the Sharks, we got screwed over by the referees at some point. People
Yeah,
thought that
little
we got
hand
screwed over.
pass.
Hand pass, yeah, there were so many little things that just I guess ignited the fire of the I say R because I'm a St. Louisan, but it really ignited the fire and it just capped it off. I
Yeah.
hope that someday there is some sort of movie created about it because it'd be outstanding for us to see.
I'll tell you what, there is a documentary on
Yeah,
Amazon Prime. I watched that during this long quarantine,
yeah,
and it was really good. I loved it.
for sure. All right, well, I think that's going to kind of cap things off for us today. I appreciate you coming on, Spencer. Hope that, the viewers here got some look back at some great moments. And, like I said, feel free to please comment with your favorite players, favorite moments, because me and Spencer would love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to have Spencer on for quite a few episodes, so you'll be seeing more of him. But like I said, guys, earlier, I hope you're taking care in quarantine. And, just stay safe out there, and we'll be back with you guys next week here on a Playmakers View.